Hey guys, and welcome back to another Shadow Priest commentary video. Today I'm going to go over our most recent Mythic Sludgefist kill. This is a fight that is like really particular. There are some timings that you need to press certain spells at exact seconds in the fight if you want to do the most damage possible. Although it changes a little bit depending on kill time. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you this. I streamed this a couple days ago. Um, there should be a link to my stream in the description below, and I'll link this VOD. Although I don't know how long it's gonna be around on my Twitch channel. I don't know how long they keep my VODs, but I'll put a link to this VOD in the description below as well if you want to, go through and watch. Because we wiped on Sludgefist a couple times, so maybe you want to see, you know, I don't know what you want to see, but if you want to watch the VOD, it'll be there. So yeah, let's go ahead and start. First thing you'll notice, we're doing a 15-second pull timer. It's very important that you pre-cast Fey Guardians. You can cast Fey Guardians on Sludgefist before the pull, and it won't aggro him. So you want to cast that at about 2.5 seconds left on the pull timer. And then you're going to pre-cast Vampiric Touch, and then things are going to go pretty quickly, so I'll try to uh, I'll let you watch the opener first and keep an eye right here on my abilities that I'm casting. This will tell you what I cast and who I'm casting it on, although there's just the one target on this fight, right? So uh, yeah, so keep an eye on that. And then also I have an ERT note. It's hidden behind up here, but it has timers for exactly when you should be pressing your different cooldown abilities. I'll put a link in the description below to a paste bin from a guy named Pedder, P-E-D-D-E-R. He's from the Warcraft Priests Discord, and he's put a ton of work into figuring out how to optimize your cooldowns the best on different fight lengths. So this is one of his notes for Sludgefist, and it works out really, really well. So I'll put a link to the paste bin below where I found this, and you can go look at his paste bin and find all sorts of really helpful Shadow Priest things. So let's get right into it. Again, like I said, watch this, and then you can keep an eye up here, and then I'll pause after my opener and kind of talk about what I did and why. So let's go ahead and hit play. If we watch the pull timer, you'll notice as we get down to about 3 seconds, I'll press my Fey Guardians. So right now, probably, yep, there goes my Fey Guardians. I've precast Vampiric Touch, and then my very next spell is a Mind Bender. And then right here, I'll be getting into... Okay, so that's all my cooldowns, right? So your rotation is going to be Fey Guardians, and then a precast Vampiric Touch, and then your very first spell, your very first spell after Vampiric Touch is going to be a Mind Bender instead of a Shadow Word Pain. That's just because, like I said, these timings are really, really particular. So you need to get your Mind Bender out as early as possible so that you can have it up for partially through Pillar 1, and then you'll have it up for all 3 of the last 3 pillars. And you pop all your cooldowns on pull here so that you can have your Void Eruption for Pillar 2, Void Eruption and Mindbender on Pillar 2. On Pillar 3, you'll have Void Eruption, Mindbender, and Power Infusion. And on Pillar 4, you'll have the same, right? So it's where you're going to do your most damage, right? So you pop everything, you sacrifice a little bit of damage on Pillar 1 just so that you can get a lot of damage on the future pillars, right? So we'll continue watching. I'm just basically doing my single target rotation, making sure I find my chain partner and I'm standing by them. And then I'm backing up a little bit because I want to be in the right position for when the gaze comes out and he charges. Let me go back just a little bit and I'll show something. When this chain thing comes out, this seismic shift is what it's called. It puts circles around everybody. And if we watch, I'm kind of in a really bad spot right here, right? So there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different people who are all crowding me. and I could potentially stand in the middle right there between all their circles, but instead, I choose to overlap with one guy a lot, right? So if you're ever in this situation where you're like in between a couple circles and you don't know if there's enough room to stand there or not, you could get clipped by all three and die, right? So it's a lot safer to just stand on top of one other person completely. So you take two of these seismic shifts rather than like four or whatever, and you can survive that, right? Obviously, you want to stand spread enough apart that you never have to be clipped by anybody. But if you do have to, this is the preferred way to do it, right? So I stack on this guy. We both take extra damage, but at least I don't die from all the other guys, right? And then I'm standing back here. I was wrong. I'm standing back here because I got called to bait this chain slam. So if you don't know, this chain slam is going to go on one of the four furthest targets from the boss. So what you do is you choose four people and they all go stand at the back on top of each other. The chain slam gets put on one of them and then they all get dragged in. Um, and I got called to go do that. We call it on the fly, so I got called, so I went back and stood for this chain slam. We get pulled in, and then what I like to do is right as this goes off, I fade. So fade, I'm running translucent image, which you can see up here just barely. This chain slam thing leaves a nasty dot. The damage it does when it pulls you in is not huge, but the dot that it leaves on you is pretty big. And so I fade so that I can reduce the damage of this dot for the first 5 seconds or whatever. And it helps a lot, especially with this colossal roar coming up. You'll take less damage from that as well. So that's something I try to do is every time I get chain slammed, I try to fade for the dot. Right here, I'm standing pretty close to melee, so I back up a little bit to give them room. But then, yeah, we're about to have this first charge. I need to go stand in the spot to soak my my thing, and then we soak these, and then you get your mind bender partially into this pillar. So I'm going to use all my mind bender stuff, and then yeah, that's the first pillar, super easy. And then if we look in the top left, I'm just going to hit play because it's hard to see right here, but if you look in the top left, you'll see these timers are counting down. Those are the next times I should be using those abilities, right? So my void form is about to come up, but I'm not going to use it for another 27 seconds after it comes off cooldown, just so that I have it up for this next pillar, right? So, so yeah, keep an eye up here in the top left. See, like my Fey Guardians, I need to use it in 30 seconds, and it's about to come up. So I'm following my chain partner here. I'm not popping Void Form. I'm just using like my Mind Blasts. I'm channeling Mind Flay. I'm using Devouring Plague. I'm dodging this circle, right? My Vampiric Touch fell off, so I need to reapply that as soon as possible. I just noticed it looks like, and there it goes. That's something you want to make sure you keep up at all times, obviously. But yeah, now I should be using Fey Guardians. I use it a little late, it looks like, and now I should be using Void Form. And then this is going to be a really big pillar for me, so you're going to use all of your cooldowns here. So I pop my Soul Editing Ruby, my Power Infusion, and everything. I fade right there because I use Shadow Word Death, and I'm going to take a lot of damage from that Shadow Word Death because he's taking increased damage. And then yeah, you'll see me and the other Shadow Priests are near the top of the meter, right? I think the other Shadow Priest probably lined up his Fey Guardians and his Void Form a little better than I did, which is why he's higher than I am on the meter, right? Because, like I said, these timings are so tight that even being off by a couple seconds, like I was with my Fey Guardians and my Void Form, I'm 300 DPS lower than the other Shadow Priest, right? Yeah, so now we're on to the next pillar. Same thing here. I fade for this chain slam. You have to be very careful right there. I'll go back and play it. If we watch, this chain slam goes off, and then right now a circle has spawned beneath us. It's really hard to see, but there's a falling rubble circle right there. This happens sometimes. If you get chain slammed in, always watch your feet because there's going to be circles spawning, and if one spawns on you, Like now, we have to run out of it because if we get hit by that, we get stunned, and then he's about to roar. And if one of you sees it and moves, and the other one doesn't see it and doesn't move, and then he roars, you're gonna break your chain and you're both gonna die. So make sure you're watching your feet. Obviously, cancel anything you're casting and get out of there. Um, so yeah, we managed to do that. This roar goes off. Um, for some reason, this red dot above my head isn't showing up on uh, my chain partner. It usually does, I think. So it made it hard to kind of see where this guy was. But what I try to do is just mimic what they're doing. It's a lot easier, I think, to follow than it is to be like we have. Okay, so there's a bit of nuance here. I'll try to make this super quick because I know it's not Shadow Priest specific. Um, when you're chained to somebody, you can either try to force them to follow you, or you can just be like, you can just follow them, right? Obviously, you still want to be in all the correct spots at all the right times, right? But if they're going to run one way and you are trying to force them to run the opposite way, you can end up breaking your chain. And it's just a lot better to be in a suboptimal position and not have a broken chain than it is to try to force them to go to the right spot and break your chain and you both die. Now, if it's something that's like always a problem with this one person and you're like trying to help teach them the positioning or something, then yeah, it's probably worth it on prog if you're like trying to, you guys are all still in the learning process. But on farm like this, if somebody's just going to be a super stubborn DPS player who doesn't want to move, right? Then it's way better to just give in to their parse hungriness and just follow them, right? Don't break your chain. Okay, so then we got another. I popped Mindbender right here. I should be popping Void Form soon, but if you can see, my Void Form should have gone off about 5 seconds ago, but it wasn't on cooldown. It wasn't off cooldown, I mean, because I didn't use it at the correct time earlier on, which means that now it's going to be a little bit late, which means that this Mindbender I'm not going to get as much damage out of because I don't have 2 charges of Mind Blast, right? So you can see already that my damage is going to be lower now just because I held Void Form for about 3 or 4 seconds too long earlier on. So I get into Void Form as fast as possible still, right here I'm in, and then I'm still attached to this guy and I can barely tell, and then we go over to this range spot, we soak, I'm using my abilities, right, Void Bolt, but then my Mindbender is about to fall off, right, which means I get less Shadow Flame Rifts on this guy during this pillar. Again, that's strictly because my Void Form was held for about 4 seconds too early before, 4 seconds too long, which means that I do less damage right here. See, I could have had another Shadow Flame Rift, maybe 2 more, and then I would have been higher than I am, right? So, okay, now we're getting to the point where we're almost at the last pillar. I'm holding my Fey Guardians. I'm going to hold everything. You want to have all of your cooldowns up for this last pillar. I'm attached to a healer, which means I'm going to go stand where the healers are supposed to soak rather than where the ranged DPS are supposed to soak, like I typically would. And then something I do on this kill that you want to avoid, I pop my Mindbender, I think like right when it comes off cooldown, maybe a couple seconds later. And I popped my Fey Guardians right there a little too early as well. Yeah, so I just used my Mindbender and I should have used it in 8 seconds from now. So this is gonna, again, this is gonna bring my damage down. Also, my Vampiric Touch has been off for a while. There we go, I just re-upped it. And then yeah, I'm popping everything here. So this is where all of your damage comes in at the very end of the fight. So you'll see I'm climbing pretty high, but then the other Shadow Priest is going to pass me up pretty significantly because he lined up his cooldowns better, right? So yeah, that's basically the whole fight. The idea is that you're going to pop all your cooldowns on pull, sacrifice some damage for the first pillar, just so that you can have a lot better second, third, and fourth pillars, right? And this fourth pillar is where it's very important that all of your damage comes out, right? So you're gonna use your potion here, you're gonna use, all of your stuff, and yeah, that's the whole fight. Like I said, I'll link all this stuff in the description below. Um, the number one thing to keep in mind, again, on this fight is pop those cooldowns exactly when it says to. Like like I said, I was just a couple seconds off a couple times, and it put me significantly behind in damage. I only did 8.4k. I could have easily done 9.5. There's even a guy who did 10k DPS on this fight as a Shadow Priest with zero external buffs, right? No PIs from anybody else, no Fey Guardians, nothing. He just played all his cooldowns perfectly, right? And got pretty lucky with crits and stuff. So yeah, that's Sludgefist. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you learned something. Um, check the description for all those links and everything. Leave a like, subscribe. Feel free to join my Discord server if you want to chat or have questions or anything. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.